Hi everyone, this is A.S.D.P. UFOologist Paul Wellborn from North Yorkshire in the UK, and you're watching the Alien Strand podcast with your amazing host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Man, we've been waiting a whole week for this, right? So I'm excited today because we have a nice podcast today, and it's going to be a good one tonight, but before we get going with that, don't forget to, we're on 26, 27 platforms on audio podcasts, right? So you can catch our audio podcasts on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. We are on Google. We are everywhere, man. You can even ask Alexa and she'll play you some Alien Strand podcast. All right. So, what better things do you want, man? And we had a great podcast last week with Mr. Terry Lynch. This is what we did, UAP Weekly. Don't forget to watch that. We have that coming along. And we're going to be doing our third one tomorrow, okay? So we do one every week. And you can catch that as we talk about UAPs, UFOs, things that happen within the week, right? Some strange stuff's been happening this week. If you guys have been watching the news, check that out. There's been just some crazy stuff happening, especially in Peru, right? But I'll get into that here in a minute. Don't forget, you can go to alienstrand.com and you can go to ASDP-UFO.com. Go to those places, if you want to report a UFO, you want to be on Alien Strand podcast, the ticker's right there at the very bottom. Go check that out. Go to our website. Actually, we just got some new reports in that we just did. So sorry, it's my fault sometimes because I'm so busy doing a lot of things, but we got the 2 reports in. We're going to have another 2 more coming in. And, that's just one of those things, man, that just look at those reports because a lot of times they're very detailed on times, dates, and everything like that. And it shows you photos and things up close of what these folks were seeing up in the sky, right? So be sure to check that out, okay? And it's just one of those things, man. If disclosure is us, right? We are disclosure. We are the ones that are giving the disclosure as citizen ufologists, right? And we do it like Mr. Terry Lynch and we have ASDP. But, what we're going to start doing from now, we're going to have a new program going. We are now part of, it's called Patreon. I don't know if you guys know what Patreon is. It's something that we're going to have. It's called Alien Strand Extras. All right. So you can go to the Patreon page. We're going to have a lot of podcasts that you're not going to be able to hear on Spotify or none of these other podcasts, even on YouTube. You're not going to be able to see it. This is the only place you're going to be able to watch this special content. You're going to get backstage. You're going to be able to hear extra conversations that we have with our people that come up on and give their stories. So this is going to be something that you can go check out. Look for us on Patreon. Download the app, if you have to, and it's only $5 a month, and that kind of helps out with everything, and it gets more information to you guys. You get to be a VIP with this, all right? So just remember that we're going to have that as well coming up. Don't forget, tonight it's going to be a Dimensional Blue Beam Visitors, right? We're going to talk with Mr. Richard Bowman tonight, Bowman Jr. So we're going to talk to him tonight here in a bit. And this is going to be very an amazing podcast, man, because he's going to tell you stuff that you've probably, nobody's ever heard before. But we also have videos, and we have a few photos of his that he's caught of UAPs up in the sky as well. It's just one of those things. Telling these stories is not an easy thing to do, right? So as far as these people being out here and being brave and doing it, I applaud them 100% for telling their stories, because it's not easy, right? It's not easy coming in front of a camera and just telling the world what exactly happened to you, because why? The stigma. That's what happens all the time, right? But don't forget, catch our movie The Middle. It's on Amazon Prime. Go check that out. Don't forget to watch that. Give us a nice thumbs up. If you do get it for the $2.99, give us a thumbs up. Or even on Tubi TV, it's free, man. Our documentary there is doing very well. Go check that out. And we have to get. This film is a learning film, and for you guys to go watch it, check it out. You can't ask for anything better to teach you how to catch these crafts up in the sky, and when we teach you how to do with cameras and everything, and they show you their footage as well. So all this footage that's on this film is authentic. All right. Don't forget about that. Don't forget CE2. It's coming. I am in production with it. I am editing it as we speak. Every week I'm editing this film. All right. It's going to be coming out. It's going to be 3 segments of 40-minute segments. Okay. So, it's going to have 3 episodes, in other words, all right? The Middle, part 2, CE3, don't forget to watch out for that. It was an amazing time, us going out there and film that. We just, I couldn't, we witnessed some amazing things out there that we just couldn't figure out what we were seeing in the sky. And you're going to be able to see that on film, especially on our documentary. All right. Don't forget to watch The Middle first. You have to see the first one before you check out the second one. Second one won't be out till probably November or December. All right. So, if you want to be a part of ASDP, Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we do have a page. Now, have gotten like 20 to 30 requests this week just on our Alien Strand Disclosure Project group. It's a private group, but you guys are not answering the questions. Please, if you want to be a part of Alien Strand Disclosure Project, please answer all the questions. If you don't, you will not be accepted. You're going to have to try again, okay? So if you want to be a part of ASDP, even if you want to be a representative, hit me up or hit Mr. Terry Lynch on Instant Messenger. If you want to represent your state and be a ufologist or a learning ufologist, we'll teach you how to do it. You can take reports and we can put it on our database, of recent things that are happening up in our skies. So that way people can see the reports that are being made daily. All right. So check those out. It's like I said before, it's a difficult thing sometimes to talk about the things that happen to people up in this, here on Earth, not in the sky, but they experience things that they just don't understand. Right. And this gentleman here, he's Mr. Bowman. He's going to explain to you exactly what happened to him, a few years ago and still happening today, right? And we're going to talk about all his experiences, everything that has happened to him. So without further ado, without me rambling so much, let's go ahead and bring him on in. So here we go. Your mic is off, brother.
All right, how about
there
now?
You go. Nah, I can hear you now.
Great. Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. So just FYI, people, he's kind of like in a bad spot out there, so he might cut in and out, a little bit. But we're going to try to get as much information as we can to your encounters and the things that were happening to you out there. So I know you. I talked to you the other day. We had a nice conversation. and you started telling me the things that were happening to you that had happened to you in the past. Now, can we go back? Let's go back from the very beginning, and tell our audience, our listeners out there, where this started for you, and where it all began.
Okay. All right. Now I got a good spot to sit here.
There you
All
go.
right. So, brief description. It's been about 2 years now, and it started up in area in West Virginia, and I started doing some small CE5 contact stuff, and it was going through a turbulent time in my life with a relationship. I was also praying a lot too.
Okay.
And what happened at that point is I started to just sit outside and participate in this. I started noticing these lights, and then they almost look like stars, and it got really, look at that, and then it got bright, and it's sitting down with me when I was meditating.
Wow. So you were out there in Berkeley County, West Virginia, out there. So it looks like a beautiful area out there. Now, as people from your background, so what were you doing out there? As was that your homestead? Is that where you're from?
No, I just moved there.
Okay.
I was originally from Baltimore.
Okay. So everything unfolded for you there.
Yeah, curious enough, it was after a traumatic event, with a career and a situation that was happening. So, and then it just happened.
So you were at a kind of trivial point in your life too, where things were they at your kind of like a down low for you before this started for you?
Absolutely.
So when you were sitting out there meditating, did you expect anything like this to happen, like seeing these objects in the sky?
No. I really wasn't involved with any of this too often. I mean, I've been in security as a security officer and as a reservist for 7 years, and patrolled a lot of remote areas, and I've seen some things, but I never was involved in it up until that point.
Now, what time of year was this when this happened for you the first time?
It was just before July.
Or July, so it's kind of warm still out there.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long after you were meditating, doing the C5 thing out there, how long did that sequence last for?
You mean like when I was outside at night, or?
Yeah, when you first saw it, and then you started meditating, you saw these, your encounter. In other words, how long did the encounter last?
As long as I was outside.
Really? So it stayed out there that long for? Wow.
And then it got to the point to where I couldn't sleep sometimes. I guess there was a communication barrier too, trying to understand each other.
Oh. Now, and then after that, okay, so let's go ahead and keep going. What else started happening after that first encounter?
Started feeling better.
Okay.
I kind of do. I was always excuse me 1 second. I was always a person that would take charge of things and try to understand it, but also do it at a cautious level. Of course, like with baby hands in situations where you wanted to be in a peaceful manner, because I also understood that these things were from somewhere else, and I wanted them to understand that I wasn't going to harm them either in any way or form.
So we have somebody, her name's Shannon Bungard.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of our ASDP ufologists. So she says, do you think that a low frequency from depression could attract them, possibly?
Yes, I do. I think maybe they were trying to help, actually, trying to help the situation. I started listening, curious enough, I started listening to high vibrational music a lot after that. It was weird. I started listening to like Tibetan drums and music that I really never listened to before. It was a different change. I was always into like rock music and
Right.
classical. So I got into that, and I played that all around my house all the time, and
So that kind
it actually seemed to help them too.
so that kind of music usually has like a low drum beats, right? Like a really deep humming drum beat sounds.
Some and others were, you're working at 99 hertz, 999,
Right.
the uh the the very high frequencies and then mid-level frequencies. 369, 400s.
And yeah,
Certain frequencies.
and you would when you would change the song, did you see any kind of different kind of movement from or different kind of crafts come in when you were doing that, or something different happening with a different song, or just kind of all stayed the same?
It would seem to like mellow. It would seem to make things more mellow and less tense. I mean, just general as the sound waves traveled around. Just like you would do if you were out camping out doing a CE5 thing, and you gotta have like a ritual to kind of
Right.
keep things cleansed or balanced out to make it safe. Because there's a lot of other stuff going on around you. Also.
Well, yeah, where you're at now, but this was up there in West Virginia. So Terry's.
Even there, I mean, there might not be a lot of people there, but a matter of
Oh,
fact, most cases I was by myself. Um, I didn't include my neighbors in this, but I showed them too. I showed them a very bright one night that was just watching us out in the yard one night, and it was around the same time. Curious enough, it was they don't like fireworks either. So
oh yeah. Well, yeah. It's just a booming sound. So
right.
Terry says, did you have projecting conversations with life forms in your mind? In other words, did you try talking to them?
Yes, and I would also draw certain symbols that they somehow knew what the symbols were.
So they were kind of giving you the image of the symbol to do, right? In your
Yes,
mind.
yes, yep.
Um,
Also,
so go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
experimented with different types of communication. Um, you know, codes like zero ones, and then cuneiform, and then Hebrew, and then
Okay.
Sumerian, and and then I kind of graduated to what it was with the shapes and certain, because that's how a lot of them communicate.
Um, well, Ryan Keaton says, how close did those lights come to you when you first when they started appearing to you?
Um, they were distant when it first started, and then it was like they were observing me and I was observing them to judge the situation. Um, and then they would project down after
Well,
a while or so.
and they would just kind of get lower and closer. So you lived like in a rural area, right? It was not too many houses around, or did
Yes,
you live it? Okay, okay, yeah. I
there was
just
two
wanted.
houses next door, but that was it. And my backyard was like a field, and three big trees separated.
Well, Anibal's asking a question. He goes, "At what point did you start feeling to be peaceful when you started this?"
Um, when it first started, it felt that way.
Okay.
Um, and then it kind of changed too, depending on it was like there was other stuff around too. You know what I mean? Like there's no way of telling what else is around where they are too, if you get what I'm
Right.
saying, because there's other. I'm assuming there's other types too. I know the ones that I showed you were more, you know, taller in more of an energy form, but they could go back and forth too. But I think there was other ones watching them as well. I don't think it's just a free for, you know what I mean?
Right.
I think there's a lot of other stuff happening that they have to deal with, as do we.
So you started seeing these on your actual like a Ring camera or a camera that you had in your front door, correct? Or was it in the back door?
I had 3 cameras out back and 2 cameras out front.
Okay. So we have one video so that way people can see what stuff you're catching. So let's go ahead and show this one video. It's gonna have like I guess it's at night because it has kind of like a green effect to it. So let's check this out.
Yeah, that is
here.
the night vision. That is the night vision, by the way.
Okay,
They
let's
were
check this
equipped
out.
with night vision and photo lights, so they'd pick up light spectrums.
Okay, sounds good. Let's check this out. So
Yep.
so what are we seeing there? It seems to be flashing or communicating somewhat.
It was that was the first one. There was another one like that. That was like a triangle looking
Okay.
one. But I couldn't really tell the whole shape of it. And at the time, I wasn't even outside. That's why I don't know much. I was asleep. And that happened
Oh wow.
twice. That was, 3 a.m. or so. Um, so I think that's a part of their technology.
Where they blink at you. I've been noticing that lately on a lot of footages of not just yourself but other folks as well. That they have these things starting to communicate, is starting to blink or flash, somewhat even not even with a laser pointer, just with a flashlight sometimes. So now when these things were in front of you, would they flash like that at you
Yeah, and I'd
without
go and
anything?
get a flash. I'd get a normal flashlight and flash back at them too.
Oh, okay, okay. So that
They
for
don't like those green ones. That just a heads up. They don't like the green lasers.
okay, okay. Well, yeah, it's pretty bright, I guess, and when it hits their craft or whatever, maybe it makes some kind of a distortion or something for them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the details of it. I just know I didn't want to use it for some reason. I just
okay.
used the high lumens flashlight.
So
High
let's
lumens,
watch him.
like 1100.
Oh wow, that's pretty strong. Let's watch this other one you sent me so people can see it. I think you were tracking one during the day, so let's go ahead and check this out.
I ain't joking. Shit's real.
Well, I didn't deny that.
Beautiful,
Dude,
ain't
I
it?
know.
She knows you.
Hey, shit, too, boy.
It always is.
That's
Beautiful. It used to draw designs.
That one did.
Yeah, when I was little.
That might be later.
Maybe. She'll be a lot higher in the sky later.
Yeah, there'll probably be a lot more of them out also, too.
Yeah.
Wow. So it was pretty windy out there. That's there in Florida, correct? That one?
Yeah, we were out fishing on the pier. Me and Mark Alexander. He's like a father figure, grandpa, and it actually sometimes follows us. So
When we were talking the other day, you told me a story of how they communicate with you, and one of them almost showed itself to you almost like a childlike. Can you kind of tell the folks out there what exactly you were talking about?
well, I want to say I believe that there is some kind of form. It was a little I want to say like maybe 3 feet, maybe 3 feet
Okay.
tall, and the other ones could be like 12 or 16.
Okay.
And it would just come next to me, and I would like show it stuff with it was interested in rocks and I would set those up, and I would also try to teach it to draw. A very simple approach. It's like, hey, I want to use, I wouldn't go like the other ones go and say, hey, I want to know about all this free stuff and this and that.
Right. Right. Now, there's some pictures here that you sent me of some images. One of them looks like somebody standing there. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen an image like that before, almost like that. His name's Alex Smith out of the UK. Now he's got this
Okay.
super zoom lens, like a 1,000 millimeter, maybe more. That he projects off of a mountain that's, oh my god, far from his house. So he's able to
Wow.
catch things walking around that look like the one there on the right. I mean, it's almost like a bare duplicate image. It's not the same, but it's different. It looks the same though. It's kind of crazy how when you sent me this image, I was like, whoa! I said that looks almost like Alex, and it's crazy. Now the one
I've
that you
seen
sent
his
me,
too. His is more purplish.
right. This is a little bit more purplish, and but the being the extraterrestrial, whoever's standing there, I mean, they look almost like identical. It could be like the same species. What I'm trying to say.
Right, I think so. Could be. They're tall and they got larger heads.
I don't know if you can see that photo in the middle. I was just trying to make it out. It
Kind
almost
of.
looks like
That's
it almost
that's more like it.
okay.
But you gotta have a body with that, and of course, legs and hands.
Right, right. Um, and you told me that it kind of it was talking to you when you were sitting by a tree, one day, and it was just trying to communicate with you somehow.
Yeah, it would like touch it would touch my hand, and I would have like a dry erase board, and I would draw the symbols. It would push my hand around to draw symbols. It almost looked like an hourglass shape or like a constellation, but I think it was just certain symbols they used.
You think they
And
were
that's
just kind of just seeing if they could work through you somehow to kind of make the symbols, or they were actually showing you something?
I think they were showing me something.
Um,
Absolutely. I mean, why else would they invest time like this? I don't.
well, yeah, you kind of got to think about it. Shannon's asking, do you feel they show themselves as children not to scare you? Um,
Not
do you
no.
feel
They grow up and come see you.
okay?
I can tell you that they look about the same, just taller.
Wow. So as they're projecting through you, right, or actually showing you things, you told me that they were kind of talking to you in a sense to where you can understand what they were saying, through
Yeah, it was to that point, and then I started getting overwhelmed with it, and I had to like step away from the intensity of it, to where I had to start practicing Reiki and other forms of things to calm me down, and a lot of praying, because I had to balance myself out, because the way they work is quite different than us.
um, uh, only because they just wanted to communicate, right? They didn't probably mean to put all that energy on you to make you feel bad, right?
I don't think they did. I didn't get that intention. I know that. I mean, there were some times where, hold on. Okay. So there were some times where some of my movements would be too quick, or the music I was playing, or like let's say you don't want to go watch a AVP or some kind of movie like that and then go out and try to do something like this at all,
Right.
because that's just how phone to television work. And I think they have a way of knowing that, and that brings in that factor of fear that you don't need. But I'm pretty sure there's also some people that don't understand, that have that causes issue, and then they feel that, and then that's pretty much, I don't know where it's going to go from there. I know you don't want that kind of vibe to go be out there like that.
Right. Angela says, I'd like to see the symbols if they're like hers. I guess she has some symbols too. So maybe you can get with her. Maybe you can match the symbols. Maybe y'all were probably seeing the same kind of extraterrestrials or communicating, right? Anibal asked another question. He says, do they have any kind of rules as far as like, what to say or what not to say or what to show or what not to show?
Oh yeah, I think they do. Sometimes it like I just I don't even know how that system works. It's almost like interdimensional, but they know stuff that you don't know. Also, and rules are like there's certain people that they just don't vibe with too. I don't know how that works either, but sometimes they won't want you to communicate with it. But I think some of it, now that I'm understanding it a little better, is more of a how you project things.
Right. In other words, you have they like your positive vibe, or they're giving you that positive vibe, so you can just kind of stay positive, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
and that's where you got to go, and that's hard to keep your thoughts that way in this day and age.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's go back just a second. I used to be a reserve police officer myself, in the sheriff's office. So, and that was back in '94. I'm an old man now, but, when you first saw these things, and I know I've talked about it before, you get this, because when you're doing as a police officer, you're trying to be as sharp as possible, trying to be, open-minded at the same time, make sure that you're biased, make sure that everything's, that you're doing, especially in a report or just seeing or witnessing that it's correct, right? That's going through your mind so that way you can make the right, the perfect determination. It's not always going to be perfect, but that way you can react properly. Now, when you first started seeing these things, I mean, did that factor come into your mind as far as like, hey, am I seeing these things this way, or should I be seeing them? You know what I mean? Should I be talking about it?
That's when I started going to the camera footage and comparing it to what I was seeing. So I know that something else was catching it, not just me. And I also wanted to be subjective about what I was looking at too, because I didn't want to get messed up either. So I tried to follow good intentions and protection, and said, hey, I'm not aggressive. I'm just trying to understand, and it's amazing to try to understand what you are as well. And that's about as far as I could, because I didn't have any background knowledge in this, so I just went on it like I was finding something new that wanted to communicate, or obviously if it was there. I mean, it got to the point where I was going outside with my tablet and trying to get it to touch my tablet. I was looking up different constellations. I mean, this is real early. It's a little different than I thought it was now. I realized that, but I actually brought my tablet out to try to get it to interact with it.
Well, when we were talking about the symbols earlier, Terry says, have you seen any of the symbols anywhere else, like a crop circle, anything like that, or the symbols that you're drawing? In other words, after you drew them, did you kind of like spot them somewhere else, or maybe online, or just happen to see them somewhere?
Of course. I'd see them in the yard sometimes, and it wasn't like a whole cornfield. It was regular grass, but the grass was like broken or like brownish, or it deteriorated really fast in a green area, and it was almost like that shape was all over my yard, and it was so big I didn't have a drone or nothing, so I really couldn't get a high picture of that. Like I couldn't even climb on my roof and get a picture of that, because I'm pretty sure it was about 40 feet, 40 miles in the sky.
So Angela asked, did the beans light up with multiple colors at some point while they were manifesting next to you?
Oh yeah, bluish white.
Bluish white. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they had I think they have they have bigger ones that teach the other ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's check out this other video. You have some more videos, so we got 2 more to go. Let's check these out. And here's another one. I think this one's another one you sent me where it was kind of flashing and reacting itself towards you. So let's go ahead and check that out.
Yeah.
Let's see that
yeah.
again. Let's see that again real quick.
Yeah. Now that one was a little closer to the ground, like just above it, and I was outside with the camera facing it.
Wow. So you were just kind of sitting there, just looking at this while it was kind of communicating?
Yeah, you could sometimes you could tell they're around by like the sound or the way it feels. Like you'll get like a weird ringing sometimes or something. And I would just go out and sit. It didn't matter what time it was. And that's pretty much what I would do. And then they would show me, like I said, they would show me stuff like that.
Did you ever feel any kind of like maybe static electricity? You know how it is, like a dryer sheet on your arm. You
Oh
ever
my
get that?
gosh.
You ever get that?
Everywhere. Everywhere it would be there. Yeah, that's how it works.
So they do have some kind of energy that they're shooting around you or around the area that they're at. So, I always want to ask that question to people, but it kind of slips my mind because I'm going 100 miles an hour. But that's something that that needs to be talked about because when we're talking and people like folks like you are explaining their stories and explaining what's happening to them. I want people to understand the feeling and the energy that's around you, how these things feel like, when I always talk about the magnet, when you flip it backwards and you get that pressure, like during paralysis, that's what you feel sometimes, so
Absolutely.
so it's like the static electricity, that you get sometimes when you're with a dryer sheet or whatever. Sometimes you do feel it. You can,
Like when you wash a bunch of clothes and you dry it
Yeah.
and you take it and yeah. It's a little different than that, but about the same.
let's watch this last one that you sent me. A lot of these are at night, and it's basically these entities communicating. So let's watch this last one here. So that video, it's of a triangle shape. Uh, if it's a full craft, it might be, or it might be three separate entities or three separate orb crafts. Is that what you think it is, or what did you think that was right there?
Yeah. 3.
Was three separate entities?
Mm-hmm. Big one, 2 little ones.
And let me ask you this too: while you were filming this, did anybody else in the area ever come up to you and say, "Hey, man, did you see those things up in the sky last night?"
Nope.
Anybody ever? Nobody has ever done that to you.
No, it's amazing what happens, No.
Wow.
I've introduced my papaw to these things. They seem to think he's okay, but not too often.
How does he feel about it?
He's been into this kind of stuff since he's 60 years old, so
Okay.
he's been around for a while. And he thinks it's an opportunity to learn and understand and experience.
Wow. Yeah, and that's true. That's not far from where I'm at on age. Just to be clear, I'm kidding, man. I'm serious, but I'm almost there.
Hey, it's a blessing to be able to live old, man.
It is.
I
It
know
sure.
you get aches and pains, but that's just a part of it. You know, it's an experience.
That's true. That is so true. So let's talk a little bit about the communication again, because I want people to understand the communicational part of it. Of the because you said it's sort of like a telepathy, right? And let me read this to you guys real quick, and that way and then we'll talk about it. So this is telepathy. This is what scientists think it is. You know, accounts throughout history gave clear indication throughout transmission is possible. In other words, that this is possible. Telepathy is so. There are many theories to explain how telepathy works, some referencing physical waves, and some based on non physical forces, right? So, and that's pretty much, I think, what you're going through. And it says in the Scientology framework, telepathy happens when the receiver reads thoughts and sentiments on the energies transmitted by someone else. It says each of us have an energy body, like an inner gosmo, like it says, when we think. It says feel emotions of experience and sentiments, right? That information is emitted with that energy, right? Thoughts and sentiments modulate the energies we emit. In other words, pretty much the way it's telling us is anything that we're kind of putting across the screen or across our mind is going to react to somebody else. Now, you were talking how they talk to you telepathically, you know. So explain to us how that kind of works for you.
Well, it used to be you could just sense or feel what they were saying. Um, and it got a little too intense. It's kind of got away from that for me for now. It's more like symbols, and it's kind of like I guess like when you're getting, if you're familiar with um energy practices, it's a lot like that. Like when you're going to get, use your hands or projecting something or thought. I mean, or remote viewing or something like that. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
Um,
And you
yeah.
kind of, do you ask it questions, or just kind of it kind of just emits that energy and the how can I say it? I always talk about it like being a transmitter. I talked about it the other day. It's like
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
us. Okay.
Everyone has their own signature too, I think so.
Right. And when you understand the communication that it's sending you, do you hear like the third voice or whatever in back of your mind kind of speaking
I
in your
used
voice?
to. I used
Okay.
to sometimes. Sometimes.
Do you
Sometimes
hear it?
I had a lot going on too, so I was kind of distracted with family, you know. Um uh do I hear it sometimes? Yeah. It's more now they just show me.
And so when they're showing you, they're kind of working through you, right? In other words, when you're doing the ones, the zeros, the patterns, things like that, or you're actually writing words.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of it's yeah, just it's more like cuneiform text. I can compare it to cuneiform text or shapes. Like that is the most simplest way to explain it.
Anibal asks, do they have a mission? Is there a
I
mission for?
I think so. I think right now it's just to understand what we are.
So they're trying to understand what we are,
Yeah.
as we're trying to understand what they are. You know, it's kind of vice versa, right? Um, let me ask you this other question too. We already we already asked, what do they want? Now, my question is to you is, why do you think you?
I think it's because of the way I went about it. Um, I wasn't harmful, and I didn't seek publicity or any motives. Um, it was just pure understanding and pure understanding of like communication. Between and heck if I know. Give me 1 second. What's
Go
going
ahead.
on?
I didn't even know you were out here. You kind of scared me.
I'm on the feed right now. I'm on the show.
That was the guy you were
Sorry,
talking
Mark's
about.
here. Yeah. All right, so back to where I was.
How you doing, sir?
Pretty good about yourself. There he is.
Yeah. So, just hang out for a second. Thanks. Guard the door. Anyway, I don't think they even knew what the age I was. But a little one would come down and, like I said, sit next to me and participate and I guess try to figure out what I was, and I wouldn't jump up and scream or get scary or get aggressive and grab stuff and go shooting a gun or anything like that. You know, I think it was the actions that I portrayed with that young one that set things in motion.
You know, like I have some pictures here of the movies. You know, there's some Close Encounters of the Third Kind where they're trying to communicate with his hand, and then we have ET at the bottom. You know, where he was trying to show him, you know,
Very
things
close,
in his mind. You know, and then we're trying to communicate with them. We're human. You know, and then they're trying to communicate with you in a sense to. They can't speak with their mouths. You know, they're using the telepathy. They're using. These energies are using these flashes of light to try to get your attention, right? So now that they got your attention, and now that they got your attention of your friend there, I mean, what is there something like as far as your goal? Is it something that you want to continue on seeing? Do you want to see them more?
Well, I enjoy seeing them, of course, but I don't know what the ultimate goal is yet. It's still too new in the process. I don't even know how their timelines work. Fair to say, right, Mark?
Yeah, pretty much.
So Shannon says your energy is very good and not scary or aggression. So everybody's out there, you know, have these experiences as well as you. You know, they're going through the same things as you, and they've seen these things as well. You know, it's some people may see it as a ghost at times, spiritual energy. Go ahead.
1 second.
So I'll just explain that, you know, if those things kind of you see them as a ghost, you know, a lot of people just kind of think to themselves, you know, is it a ghost or is it a spiritual entity? You know, what can it be? You know, and we're trying to wrap our minds around what these things are, right? And we don't know what they are, right? And then they start showing themselves as extraterrestrial, you know,
I'm back.
Entities of some kind or sort, right? So for you, did you think that at first that they were kind of some kind of spiritual beings, or or did you think it was a ghost, anything like that at first?
I thought it was, you know, they were from like far away. And then, you know, and then did my research. I think it's more of an interdimensional thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of reaching out to you through a different dimension. They're coming through, and you know they want to communicate with you.
Yep. And like I said, I think, I don't know why, I think certain types pick certain types, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, everybody can understand that because they've not only seen what you've seen, but they've seen actual humanoid or something with 2 legs and 2 arms and a head, you know, or things at their bedside, you know. And
well, I tell you that I had some photographs of their feet. You know, they had I have so many stuff that I just have so much. It's still hard for me to come out and talk about it sometimes. So of course they have hands and feet and other stuff, and I've sent you some stuff, and they I've had some crazy dreams too, and I'm not saying they might not have been dreams. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think they talk to you through your dreams, because when we're in our dream state, we're like unconscious. We a lot of people leave their bodies in a sort. You know, you're in a different consciousness, right? And
Absolutely.
I think
and I've had that happen a couple times.
Yeah, me too. And it feels weird, man, when you see that or you're actually experiencing that, when you come out of
Or
your
you wake
body
up
and
in
you're,
the middle of it.
yeah, that's a weird one, man. But I mean, and I've had paralysis. I've gone through all that too myself. And at first, I never really thought if it was a extraterrestrial. We used to have a lot of spiritual stuff happening in our house. Where it was ghosts, real ghosts. And we used to
Well, there's
get
a
just
whole other dimension with them. You got ether, you got other realms. You don't just have travel from somewhere else. You have other places.
right, right, and I believe that they walk within the same realm sometimes, or let's just say dimension. The extraterrestrials can jump in that dimension and just jump into whichever ones they want. I've heard up to 8, 12, 16 different dimensions that they can jump into, right? So why not?
It's like how they travel.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's how they travel, yeah.
Well, they're able to just boop, 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 and just appear and disappear.
Yeah, a lot of it is thought. A lot of it, they use thought or manifestation.
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of energies you're working with. And I think there's ways to step it down when you come into this dimension. So,
I mean, kind of think about it. If you had that much, uh, let's just say, technological way of doing things, and you were able to jump into different dimensions, and you're just sitting at home, just kind of bored, wouldn't you just go ahead and just jump in there and just check it out? Jump here, and just kind of, go see what's going on.
I'd jump around and poke some people and see what happens.
I mean, that's what I would do. I mean, and I think about that with ghosts and especially like bad ones. Sometimes they'll go and just jump around and mess with people, poke at them and things, because they're able to do that.
But all right.
They have some kind of conscience or some sort, where they can actually jump in there just for a minute and jump back, but that's what these spheres are. And the spheres that are in the sky, round spheres. And I think that's what they are. They're just like drones, man. They're just checking us out,
Right.
just coming in and just checking us out.
I would say they're more intelligent than drones. I can tell you that I'm getting called away for a little bit. Is there any way I can come back on in about 10 minutes or?
No, go ahead. Well, I was just going to end the show anyway, but thank you for being on the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to have another show here in about another 15 minutes, but that's going to be on Alien Strand Extras. All right, brother. So I'll see you here in a little bit. Okay.
Okay. I'll keep this link then. Do I leave this open?
No, I'll send you another one.
All right, great. And I just want to note out there, everyone be careful and thanks for watching the show. And man, always go with your intuition.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, and I'm sure everybody else does as well. Thank you for being on the show.
We'll talk to you so much.
Soon. Yes, sir.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. So he had to take off for a minute, but he still gave a lot of information of what was happening to him, right? Sometimes there's just things that you just don't understand what's happening, right? And then he talked about the telepathy. He talked about how they showed themselves to him. He talked about everything that happened to him. And right now you can tell by his voice, he's a little nervous because he's afraid to he's still afraid to come out and talk about it. Why? Because of the stigmas, right? Because the stigmas are out there of how people are going to treat you. But us as ufologists and as citizen ufologists and just people who care, people that thank him for his story, for him bringing it out to us. We just thank him, because he needs to, this needed to be shown because a lot of folks need to understand what other people are experiencing, right? It's not just one side. It's just not one thing happening. It's different stories that happen to folks. They're almost the same, right? Don't get me wrong, but they have little different ways of going things. And this is disclosure, right? Disclosure is trying to figure out exactly what these things are, what they're about. And I've talked about it in my older podcasts, even the new ones. We have this whole box of puzzle is just broken in pieces, right? You have it spread out on the table. We're getting piece by piece and putting the puzzle together little by little. And this is what we do with Disclosure. This is what we do with folks like him coming on and talking about it, you know, and folks like Marisol and everybody that, you know, that Jody that came on, you know, Ryan, people that are going to be on our next movie, you know, these are the puzzles that go together. And once we get this puzzle all together, we're going to get the big picture, exactly what it is. And I hope we do. I really hope we do. But, you know, guys, thanks for chiming in on this podcast today. If you really enjoyed it, please share it out there. Don't forget, we are going to be on Patreon here in a little bit. This is going to be behind the scenes. He's going to talk some extra stuff that you won't see on this podcast. You won't hear it. You'll only hear it there on Patreon. If you want to sign up, please, guys, go check that out. Sign up there. And this is going to be, we're going to have a lot more other things happening on Patreon as well. I'll be doing different stories and just, you know, talking to folks about different things that it's not always going to be about UFOs, orbs, and things like that. You know, we're going to be talking about, you know, the black-eyed children. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different things that we don't get to see, right, or talk about sometimes because we get pulled in one direction, but this is everywhere. Disclosure is everywhere. Paranormal, you know, extraterrestrial, you know, Bigfoot, you know, everything that's out there is out there, right? And it's the unknown. And this is what we're trying to figure out. So remember, go to Patreon, go check us out there. It's called Alien Strand Extra. So go check that out. Please subscribe to that and you'll be able to get all that good stuff. So until then, you know, I'm glad you guys were able to stick around and hear me ramble a little bit. Remember, everything that we're talking to here today, all the information, I do have it on the podcast. So you'll just see all the links to everything it's on the podcast. So even on audio and on video, but I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You know, I love you guys and just keep on hanging in there. Join ASDP, go to alienstrand.com, report everything that you can on ASDPUFO.com. Talk to our representatives. We have a bunch of them now. We're starting to get a lot more. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. Have yourselves a good night.
This is A.S.D.P ufologist Terry Ledge from Oregon. You're watching the Mothership Alien Strand podcast with your host, Donald Ledesma.